Praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah, name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's hit this John 5:39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and seek not the honor that come from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, to whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? I want y'all to come over here to Revelation chapter 2. And you can pick it up at verse 1. That's not really what I wanted, but we'll hit what I wanted in a moment. Unto the Alahym of the synagogue of Ephesians write, these things saith he that hold the 7 stars in his right hand, who walk in the midst of 7 golden candlesticks. I know your works and your labor and your patience, and how you cannot bear them which are evil. How many of y'all feel like you can bear people that are evil? How many of you feel like you're around people who are really, really evil on a regular basis? I take that overwhelming silence as that's a negative on all fronts then. Very well. Yeah. And you have tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and have found them liars, and has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake has labored and has not fainted. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against you, because you have left your first love. Remember, therefore, from whence you are fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I will come unto you quickly and remove your candlestick out of his place, except you repent. But this you have, that you hate the deeds of Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the houses. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of Alahym. Now, he just stated that if you overcome, he'll allow you to eat from the tree of life. So that means we need to journey back to Genesis chapter 2. From Genesis chapter 2, we're going to grab Jeremiah chapter 17. We're going to grab Genesis 2, Genesis 3, Jeremiah 17, and Ezekiel 47, among others. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, Yahuwah Alahym planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Out of the ground made Yahuwah Alahym to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, what's out of that particular verse, there's a key component in that verse. What do y'all believe that key component is that he used to describe all of these trees? Good. He said that they were good for food. So notice that the tree of knowledge of good and evil would be good for food as well, would it not? That's what I'm putting at the point that the tree of knowledge of good and evil is not a bad thing. It's just a byproduct of what's going to happen once you partake of it. Now, to be able to again to refresh, you remember what Paul said in Romans 7, right? I would have not known lust except the law said you should not covet. Let me ask y'all a question. I'll go around the room to see how, when you found out truly that you were contrary to his law, like not thinking you know, oh, I know this is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like now you've actually seen in the text you wrong. Can you remember how you felt at that time? You're on my left-hand side, so I'll start right there because I'm left-handed.
kind of like a sadness,
Why were you sad?
I guess because you just realize like that you're wrong. You say like I don't know, you feel like a loser. Put it that way, make you feel like a loser.
Very well then. Go ahead, though, Martha. I have to do that because you're in the middle. Can't go in a complete circumference. Yeah, but I can do that. It's the same. Shame. Very well then. What about you, Kalisa? Felt sad. Why were you sad?
Right, but just to know you're not living life right.
Okay. Why did you feel shame, though, Martha? Well, what about you, Darius? What about you, D? How you felt when you found out you were contrary to the word? Like really, like how he said when he said, I would have not known lust unless the law said you shouldn't covet. So you might have felt that you was wrong or knew certain areas were wrong. How did you feel when you actually knew that you were actually very evil according to his law, that you're dead wrong? What about you? And what about you? See, and those are natural thoughts that get it together, but in reality, that's how you really felt. Whether you realize it or not, you condemned, you dead. The minute you seen it, you were dead. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at the shame, which is reproach, which is dishonor, you know what I'm saying? The minute the law pop up and show you that you contrary to it, you die right then and there on the spot. You know what I'm saying? You out of here. You know what I'm saying? And that's the difference. That's to say, like, the law is good. That's what Paul wrote to us, right? Just in Kadash. Kira said it was like her heart fainting. And like he said, he felt cornered. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was like, oh, okay, you going to hell. Yeah, this book's real, you going to hell. This is what it is. You're out of here. You know what I'm talking about? So when you look at it in that regard and you think of it in that regard, that is not something that he wanted you to know or to participate in. That doesn't mean that it was bad, because the law is not bad. He said it is good for food. Remember, the word for food is ma'akal, and that's the leader's work. It's going to teach chaos or it's going to teach life. That law taught you what chaos was. The tree of life going to teach you what life is. There's no chaos with life. How do we know that? Let's take a look. Let's go over here to Galatians chapter 5. Your whole Genesis chapter. So. Tavon said he felt unworthy and fearful. And that probably should have, first thing should have clicked in your mind, is you should have been fearful, because that's when you know he could have took your whole head off. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, oh boy. The reason I mention that, because do y'all remember what happened in the, who was that was? When they went to hold of the prophet, I think that was Hezekiah, when they found that book of the law and they read it, them people ripped their clothes up and they were sad and terrified because they knew everybody was finna die. Do you know what I'm saying? They were walking around like, oh, we straight. We ain't got no sin. And that knowledge of good and evil popped up and they realized something. We're dead men walking. That's a hard pill to swallow when you're thinking that you're good. But that's what he say. When sin is revealed, then you know death is revived, and then the law slays you. The very thing that's supposed to keep you alive is in reality is slaying you because you contrary to it. And that was never his intent. That's why he said don't eat from that. Leave that alone. You know what I'm saying? Don't fool with that. You're already righteous. You don't need to be concerned with that. I don't need you to worry about sleeping with no animals. That ain't gonna be none of your concern. I mean, I'm mentioning that because that's an extreme law, but guess what? People do it every day. There's somebody walking around here that like to lay with beasts. I done told y'all before, Islam, it says that you can sleep with a sheep if a woman is not around. Yeah. Galatians 5 and 22. Matter of fact, Galatians 5 and 21, because this is another, let me ask you this here. If you got the knowledge of good and evil, the parts that's evil, what do you think that would do to an individual? Like when you find out the things that are evil or the things that you can't do.
Curious to do it.
So it ends up doing what? It ends up stirring up your flesh, because now you have a desire to partake in things that you know you shouldn't partake in, because now you realize you have a desire to it. Like you had dudes that say smoking weed is spiritual. That's retarded because it comes from the earth. So there's nothing spiritual about it. I can take you taking that weed and you're burning it. Things that are spiritual endure forever. They can't be destroyed. People be like, oh, sex is spiritual. You stupid. That's a physical act. There's bodily fluids involved. And it's being participated by two carnal and mortal individuals. So it means it passes away. But you got to try to make a physical act be spiritual to comfort yourself in whatever it is that you're journeying under, because there are certain religious groups in this world that teach that sex is spiritual and have teachings in regards to it. You know, you've probably heard of it, the Kama Sutra and Tantric Yoga and things of that nature. They try to make it, that's why people say you have a soul tie. You can't tie your soul to nobody. I don't care what you do. Y'all can have like hearts and your hearts can be one, but that's only because you meet an agreement in the mind, not because your soul and her soul are tied together. That's insane. You know what I'm saying? People say, I got to break a soul tie. You're not soul tied to the individual. You're emotionally tied to the individual, and you don't want to release them. You know what I'm saying? That's all that is. Sex ain't nothing but a physical release. 15, 30 minutes later, it's over with. You mean to tell me you locked to an individual off of a physical act? No, this hormone's been released in your brain, and now you just got an emotional connection to this person. And that's it. You break the emotional connection, and the physical means absolutely nothing. But this is what people tell you in the Word. You got people in the Word that teach people this. That's contrary to Yah. Let's see how we can see that. Matter of fact, make it 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness. When you learn the law, you learn that that's a carnal attribute. Did Adam know anything about being carnal? Absolutely not. He didn't know nothing about that. Said idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, sedations, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revilings, and such like, of which I tell you before, as I've also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Alahym. This is one of the reasons he had to put him out. Now, what one of these violations is what got him put out? It's one. It's only one. Of all the works of the flesh that's mentioned, it is only one. Which one y'all think it is? You say idolatry?
Or witchcraft.
You say witchcraft?
It's a rebellion.
Because of rebellion. Anybody else? Witchcraft is acceptable, but that's not the one. And it's based off of what we read last night. But witchcraft is acceptable because they did rebel, because they did opposite of what he told them to do. It's not idolatry because they didn't worship another god. They actually got taught of their god. So the thing that they violated in this is lasciviousness or the lust, because she said it was a tree desired to make one wise. So she had a lust for that. Because remember, right, the book tell you that the law will make you wise. But you know what's the one thing the law won't make you wise to?
Faith.
That's acceptable, but that's not the right word, but we will accept it. It's an actual statement that Paul made to Timothy that I'm mentioning from. But his answer is acceptable. He said, always remember the Kadesh scriptures that you learned from as a child that make you wise unto salvation, unto the knowledge of Yahushua HaMashiach. See, the law can't make you wise unto salvation. That's why he told him don't fool with it. You know what I'm saying? And see, that's the difference. I told you last night, a lot of people in the earth right now, they still eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They not eating from the tree of life, so to speak. It doesn't mean that the law, again, we seen that. He said the law is good for food. So there's nothing wrong with the law whatsoever. Nothing wrong with it at all. But the problem is Once you are knowledge of it, you just died. Because I guarantee you, once you learned of it, you was contrary of it. You know what made him to be able to die off the top? Because I told you not to fool with it. The minute you did it, you found out that I told you not to covet. Now you done sinned. Now you got to die. Just that fast. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he would tell it. And see, he was doing what a good parent do. It's not like, oh, don't tell him not to eat from it. Because if he eat from it, he's still going to die. You know what I'm saying? So I got to tell you, son, don't fool with that. It ain't good for you. Don't go over there and fool with that. Well, some of them ain't got big enough yet, but eventually y'all gonna tell them, baby, don't touch that stove. It's hot. You just ain't gonna be like, I know that stove hot. I'm gonna walk out of the room. Let him put his hand on it. You know what I'm saying? You gonna tell them, baby, don't touch that stove. It's hot now. But guess what they gonna go up there and do? Bam! Stick their hand on the stove. I remember when Little Muffin did that. That junk was funny. She came back and said, it's hot. It's hot. I said, yes. Yes, it was. I guarantee you won't do it again. And she did not. I think she put her hand on the iron. She didn't believe the iron was hot. You know what I'm saying? Because they're curious. So you have to warn them. You have to tell them. But once he found that information out, he found out you were lascivious. You lusted. You coveted. That's why he say, who told you you were naked? You got to realize something. When you sit, also just like this here, right? I don't think none of y'all been outside walking around butt naked before, have you? You been outside walking around butt naked? How you were looking? You didn't get that? You was on the mar- What was you home? My homeboy did that one time. That nigga was on some X, and that nigga was walking around Mayport Road, butt naked. You know what I'm talking about? Boy, the nigga was like, boy, look out the door. We step out the store. This nigga is literally butt naked, walking down the street. I said, well, this nigga is wild. You know what I'm saying? But just case in point, though, look how people act when they nakedness gets showed unless they're a whore. You know what I'm saying? If somebody walk by you and your breasts are out, the first thing the thought in your mind to do is to cover them. You know what I'm saying? Or cover your genitalia, or cover your body. That's the first, because you shamed. It's not even a thought of you shamed like, I don't like my body. It's the fact that you just saw my nakedness, I got to cover it. That's how they felt what they saying, let me cover it up. That's the thing you're supposed to look at when you heard the word for the first time. Shamed, I need to cover myself. But you know what we end up doing for the most part? Playing games and pump faking and hypocriting for the whole time, covering yourself with fig leaves and not with a coat of skins. You know what I'm saying? That's what you end up doing. Because you didn't really want his covering, because his covering would mean that you would literally have to change your behavior. You would literally have to be born again, and then that would cause a process that human beings don't like. Human beings don't like change, because change is not comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Change will have to force you to look at the things of yourself that you don't like, and it challenges you. That's why people don't like it. That's why people don't like to hear the truth. But that change will make you a better individual in the long run. And it's going to be painful to start, but you have to do it if you want to be better. A lot of people don't want to be better, so they resist it. That's why a lot of people run from the word. You know what I'm saying? Like case in point, right? Like, let's say with your mama, right? What damaged her was not the word, it was the organization, right? Now, you might have already not really had a mind to do it in the first place. But then you got involved, and you feel like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with this. But you still in an organization that's giving you a halfway way of living. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, probably from stories she done told you. And then these niggas wilding. You got dudes in the organization sleeping with all the women. These women see this, so why would I be chased? You know what I'm saying? This nigga killing niggas. And we talking about Yahweh ben Yahweh, because her mama was a part of that organization. That was a heck of an organization in the late 70s and 80s. You know what I'm saying? But what does that end up doing? You'll paint anybody who deal with the word with a broad brush. You know what I'm saying? But reality why you're doing that is because you don't really have a desire to do it anyway. So when somebody come and tell you this is evil, you're going to resist. That's why you don't come and tell people about what they doing is evil. You come and you give them the tree of life, which is the faith that they might get eternal life. Because all you're doing, that's why I asked you that question beforehand. I got to change. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, I don't know no better. I'm shamed. I'm condemned. I'm fearful. My heart's sinking. You know what I'm talking about? That is not going to engender me to say, you know what? I want to walk hand in hand with this person. But if I give you some information of an individual who came that knew that you were all of those things, and I'll take all them things on you, onto me, and all you got to do is drop them down right here at my feet, and I'll give you the gift of life I'm holding in my right hand. That sounds a whole lot different than the knowledge of good and evil, does it not? Make your mind process move a little different, because you're going to look at it different. You ain't going to sit there. You hear the gospel, you might necessarily be ashamed, but you'll have the impetus of, I want to learn more of you. I want what you have to offer. So what is it is that I have to do in order to receive what you're offering? And like I said, when you see a majority of people teaching the word now, they teaching the knowledge of good and evil. And that's not going to save nobody's soul. It'll get you set apart, but it ain't going to save your soul. You know what I'm talking about? It'll get you set apart without question. But then let's look at this. Let's look at a statement that, hold on, I ain't finished what I need. And then I'll go to John chapter 7. He said, but the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, shalom, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such, there is no Torah. Why do you think he says that? That last part. Look at what he said, right? He mentioned all of those things, and he said that there against such, there is no Torah. Why do you think he said that?
There's no condemnation against those things.
Ain't no kind of, but I'm talking about, that's correct. But in regards to what we're dealing with this week,
Those things are eternal.
they're eternal. Anybody else? I look at it in this aspect, right? What's the first verse we read this afternoon? No, I mean besides that. That don't count. No, I didn't read Genesis 2 first. I read Revelation 2 first. And what did we read in Revelation 2? So that tree of life, would these things, would they not be a byproduct of that said tree of life? Was there a law against eating from the tree of life? So if you would have ate from the tree of life, then guess what you would have got out of that? These are the things that will cause you to live forever. Why are these the things that will cause you to live forever? Because these are the things, are the attributes of Yahuwah. Have we not went over in the past that joy and love and peace and long suffering and gentleness and goodness and faith and meekness and self-control are the attributes of Yahuwah? Did he not declare these things in his name when he declared it in Exodus 34? So if you would have ate from the tree of life, this is what you would have got. But when you ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, guess what you found out about? Envyings and murderers and revilings and lusts and idolatry. You learned about thou shalt not worship another God besides me. You would have known nothing about that. You wouldn't have ate from that. You would have known what another God was. Do you see the difference? That's why he tells you right here, there's no law against these things. Where in the book you going to? Where in the book is you going to see where this man say don't love? Where are you going to read in the book where this man say don't have self-control? I will condemn you for it. That don't even make sense. Speaking it out loud, though. You know what I mean? This is to gain some understanding so you could gain the pathway to eternal life. Hey there, little buddy. I see you. Come on back to, no, I wanted John chapter 7. Seven and 14. Hello, Abigail. John 7 and 14. Now about the midst of the feast, Yahushua went up into the temple and taught, and the Yahudim marveled, saying, how know this man letters, having never learned? Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of Alahym or whether I speak of myself. He that speak of himself seek his own esteem, but he that seek his esteem that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you Torah? Yet none of you keep Torah. Why go you about to kill me? And see, that's the difference. You got the law, but ain't nobody keeping it. But everybody like to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So you like to talk about the knowledge of good and evil. Remember, you can read that in Romans 2, but we're not going to grab it right now. He said, you know, you bring the same judgment on your head that you try to bring on others. Matter of fact, let's just get it. Romans chapter 2. Romans 2 and 1.
Thank you.
He said, therefore you are inexcusable, O man, whosoever you are that judge. For when you judge another, you condemn yourself. For you that judge do the same things. For we are sure that the judgment of Alahym is according to truth against them which commit such things. That's what you see going on with a lot of people who preach the law. The very things that they speaking against, they doing themselves, which makes the law impotent, if you will, and not allow it to have, not to have the power to change the individual's behavior. It only makes it strong in the fact that the law work death and niggas gonna die. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna tell somebody don't be a homosexual and you a homosexual on the law? Don't nobody know. Cause he go through that and we not finna get it right now. He say you teach a man not to commit adultery, but you commit adultery. How many people we done seen who teach the law and then you find them boys out doing something else? And then guess what somebody scream? Well, we all not perfect. Man, I don't want to hear that, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? You making an excuse for this nigga, man. This nigga recall still teaching the word, man. I seen this nigga on the video myself. Not what another nigga told me. I seen it myself. This man say, boy, I sleep with plenty of dudes' wives, and I apologize. Y'all forgive me. Straight up. My homeboy used to watch that dude all the time. You know what I mean? Well, I seen that there. I said, yeah, cuz I can't listen to him no more. I don't want to hear nothing. This 09, so we wasn't in the word that long. Probably about a good 5-6 months. I ain't going for a nigga talking about he's sleeping with other men's wives and you gonna sit there and listen to him? Does that even make any sense? People do it every day. Come on back to Genesis chapter 2 though. Now again, right? The leader's work gonna teach you chaos, or it's gonna teach you. Matter of fact, let's do this like this here, right? Let's look at something in John 8:44. Make it 8:42. Make it 8:41. John 8:41. He said, you do the deeds of your father. They said to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Alahym. Yahushua said unto them, if Alahym were your Abba, you would love me, for I proceed forth and come from Alahym. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my word. And see, another reason, too, why we going through this here, right? Because number one, people try to make Eve seem like she was just some evil, rebellious, stubborn woman. And that wasn't the case. That's not what they learned. She just had a desire to be wise because the law will make you wise. Book tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Also, you can see that in the aspect of the woman had knowledge of sin. The man did not. So we done went over that before, how that's an example of Yahushua dying for his wife. So he took knowledge of the law so that he could die in order to redeem his wife. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to realize that. What type of, if he's representative of Yahushua and he say, oh, I'm telling on you, I'm going to get me a new wife. Then that shows forth that Yahushua would have went and got him a new wife. Because he was still without condemnation. He didn't have no condemnation. She's representative of Israel. She had the condemnation. Who had the condemnation between the two? Israel had the condemnation. Shalom, Brother Dennis. Israel had the condemnation. That man came along and went, and we know he was crucified according to the law. All the way through. That's how he got took out. And that's another part of what we're going to be looking at about the mystery of godliness or the mystery of Alahym. Because the mystery of Alahym and the mystery of iniquity run hand in hand. And to reiterate, the tree of good and evil is not iniquity, but it gave the knowledge of iniquity to allow the mystery of iniquity to begin. You can't have a mystery of lawlessness without a starting point. It started once they learned the law. And you can see that when you look in Genesis with the flood, and then it works all the way down. That's why when I hear the individual saying the mystery of iniquity is the Christian church, that is outright scripturally asinine. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. Because so you saying the starting point of the mystery of iniquity is 325 AD with Roman Emperor Constantine? You think that started with Constantine? People were lawless long before Constantine. You know what I'm saying? Long before Constantine. So you mean to tell me they weren't lawless during the flood? They weren't lawless in the wilderness. They weren't lawless in the land. They weren't lawless when they killed the son of the living God. They were only lawless when Roman Emperor Constantine said he had a dream that there was a cross in the sky. And he said, with this, you will conquer. Now lawlessness has begun. That don't even make sense at all, in the least bit. Nevertheless, he said, you have of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he speak a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Let me ask you a question. Pertaining to the lie that Satan told, what was the lie that he told? That they won't die? There's another lie he told to him too. And you'll be like Alahym based off just this knowledge. Now, y'all said they've become like one of us to know good and evil, but they weren't like Alahym though. You know what I'm talking about? See, he told him two lies. He told him two big lies. Told him you're going to be like God, because you know, if I tell you you're going to be like God, then of course you're not going to die, because you know he don't die. You know what I'm saying? This is how you know, this is another instance how you know the law itself cannot give you eternal life or the Ruach HaKodesh, because they would have got it when they ate from it. You know what I'm saying? There wouldn't have been another tree that they could have ate from to live forever, because that tree would have been sufficient. But see, nobody want to, because when you ask everybody how you, because like I told you, they like to grab the Matthew 19 with the rich man. He said, keep the commandments and you'll live. But then he took it a step further and told him, exercise some faith and forsake everything you got and take up your stake and follow me and sacrifice yourself. And they said, oh, no. He went away sad. I can't give nothing up. That's why most people go on to hell, because you don't want to give nothing up. That's not the definition of sacrifice. Don't you know when you learn a new endeavor, you have to sacrifice something in another endeavor? So you know if you learning a Yahuwah, don't you realize you got to sacrifice anything that'll keep you from him? See, you won't want to hear that. Remember right what we read last night? It said, why should a living man complain for the punishment of his sins? And the word for sins there is kat. Why should you complain about what got you separated from Alahym? What you complaining for? And who got you separated from Alahym? You got yourself separated from Alahym. So why are you complaining to him about what you doing? You doing that. That's your fault. But you want to complain and murmur. Why you won't come get me and help me and save me? Stop being evil. See, they don't like to have that conversation. That's a different conversation. That's a conversation of self-accountability. That's what I'm sitting here telling you. Just on the natural, what I mentioned y'all last night, right? If you were interested in another person, you would want to see if y'all share the same values. You know what I'm saying? Because then there'll never be any conflict, because you share the same values. This is why he tell you don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers. So then when you come to Yahuwah, you need to make sure that Yahuwah values that you share them too. That the things that he value, that you value. Because if you don't value the things that he value, guess what's going to end up happening? It's going to be conflict. And see, he's not going to separate himself from you, because he ain't going to do nothing to separate himself from you. You going to do stuff to separate yourself from him, and then he going to react accordingly, and then you going to get mad at him. When you knew you didn't share his values when you met him. When you were sitting down having that conversation about what you believe and what you stand for and what you about, you knew you was contrary to all of that. And you pursued it anyway. That's why I mentioned that when you looking at proper biblical structure in the household, which for most of y'all, that ship's already sailed. You know what I'm talking about? You supposed to find out in the beginning. And if you know you ain't got no values, then you need to be single. Do you know what I'm talking about? But you know why you don't do that? Because the world told you find somebody you like and go have some fun. And figure all that stuff out later. Then you get married to somebody who you're not in agreement with, and now you're sad. You know what I'm talking about? When you should have figured that out from the jump street. How you view children. How you view the scriptures. And then you're supposed to have time for them to prove themselves out. But you know why people be rushing? Because your loin's on fire. I done had people come to me and tell me it's better marry than burn. Shoot, you're going to burn regardless. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're going to marry this nigga and burn regardless. Because you're going to see. Oh yeah, I done had plenty of people come at me with that. It says it's better to marry than burn. Yeah, don't I say yeah, go on and burn then. You're gonna burn regardless. It was only women who ever told me that too. Never a man. Never a man. I've never had a man tell me that. Only women. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, you that wanted? Shoot, you might want to reassess your thought process. Only saying, but see that's a mature thing. When you're young, you don't think like that. You ain't trying to figure out what their views is and what their values are because you don't even know what yours are. You just having fun, wasting time. And that's why the book tell you don't prostitute your daughter to cause her to be a whore. Because the first thing that most of these women out here doing is telling you to date at 12, 13, 14 years old when you should have been karate chopping her in her neck. Get your mind and your eyes off and little boy. And if you're that fast, you can get up out my house. You don't talk about, oh, she got a little boyfriend. 12 years old, a boyfriend, you prostituting your daughter. What you think gonna happen if she around here spending time with a little boy and their hormones changing? What you think gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? And you let that happen on your watch. That's your fault. You have black people don't come home pregnant. Well, shoot, you set the environment up where she could come home pregnant. That's your fault. You got to wear that one. That's not her fault. She is a child. She don't know no better. She's simple. Guess what? Your son don't know no better. He's simple. Why they simple? They ain't got no life experience. You the one supposed to have the wisdom and the ability to guide and direct them. But instead, you leaving them to their own devices. And then shocked when their devices bite them in the butt. You know what I'm saying? Right or wrong. But I guarantee you, most of y'all people let y'all date early. I know your people left you behind the burglar bar door. They left you behind the burglar bar door. But most black folks, shoot, most white people too, people period. At least in America, it's not like that necessarily in foreign and Eastern cultures. A lot of them they really ain't on that, except in Europe. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm for real though. You know, Europe, they're a lot more free sexually than they are over here. Especially in public. Like there's just as much whoring going on over here as it is over there, but they're more open with it in their society as far as promoting it and showing it. Like this type of commercials they run in Europe that wouldn't dare get ran over here. You don't even see, y'all too young to realize, I didn't tell you this before though, how big of an uproar it was for Ellen to be on TV and be a lesbian. And this is like 1998. Them people went utterly insane about that. Like, you can't have a gay character on TV. This can't happen. And now guess what? 21 years later, it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing. You'd be hard pressed to find a television show without a sodomite on it. You know what I'm saying? And now all our women walk around here looking like trannies. Straight up and down. Because the makeup and all the wigs and the butts and the eyelashes and all that stuff, that stuff's not attractive to no man walking. You look like a man. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Like them, every woman who walk around here, how they looked up, they look like trannies. You know what I'm saying? And who set the stage for them to look like that? Who all the makeup artists is? Punks. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I don't find that attractive. You look like a man. You think because you got titties it's a pass, and then they want to talk about why y'all can't tell if it's a man or not. Because all y'all look like trannies, so it's hard for them to tell. If you look like a lady, the trannies would stand out like a sore thumb. They surgeries ain't that good, but when y'all mixing in with them, shoot, niggas can't tell the difference. Nobody should have to do a genital check to make sure that you're a woman. Yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? Like this here. Getting their hands smell like this here. Like, what they got going on? But that's crazy though. That's why I'm sitting here telling you. Like, anybody who in the world, we shouldn't be looking at nobody in the world as goals, role models, or nothing. Because you come from the same, especially celebrity. Man, I was looking at something last night, dude. No, it was two nights ago. Dude made a very, very strong point. That nigga was like, man, now don't get it twisted, right? I'm not saying necessarily I agree with him, but I understand his perspective. Now, he going a little too far. He feel like racism ain't really never been that bad in America. I completely disagree. But at the same token, he was like, if you look at how they do things, they kind of set up an environment of division, of promoting things in a fashion to cause people to be on opposite sides, which I know that the people in power do these type of things. He was mentioning like Rosa Parks. She's a known Eastern star. Woman got the bus terminal named after her. You know what I'm saying? Now, in a racist society of this type, if you see them promoting and elevating a black person in that fashion, that should be a red flag for you. You know what I'm saying? That should be an automatic red flag. Once they go to naming buildings, naming streets, building statues, you know what I'm talking about? That should be a red flag for you. You know what I'm saying? Now his point was it's bad, but it may not be as what they made it to be. Then he was like, how come these people are always conveniently there to take these perfectly paced photos? Like, how was this dude on the bus to take this perfect photo of her on the bus? Now, I'll give him a pass on, I can't agree with him on the Martin Luther King slang because he was a world-known figure. So, yes, there's going to be some news people there to take pictures of him. You know what I'm talking about? But that was just his whole point of basically to always keep people against one another. But I know white people are intrinsically evil by nature. You know what I'm saying? If you look at their history, it's dealing with people who are not of their people and they have power or rule over them in that situation. That's what happens to you. And you can go back and you can look at history for that. That ain't got nothing to do with white folks just in period, but they are intrinsically evil when they have an upper hand over other people, even white people. Look at how them Greeks and Romans dealt with each other in history. I'm just talking about period. If they got the upper hand, well, they're going to treat you like you was about absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? And they could care less what race you is. Look at what the Germans did. Look at what the British did. They did it to white people too. Just like they did it to black people and did it to Arabs. Most people don't know that because we only focus on our history. Arabs are just savages all the way around the board when they got power.
Ain't like Irish people the same like black people.
Oh yeah, they treated them like black people. They hated them. Italians too. Treated them like they were less than dirt. Once they got on equal footing, they stopped treating them like that. You know what I'm saying? If they feel like they got the upper hand, or they don't treat you like a piece of crap. Their history shows that. So that's the only thing I can go by. Is your past actions. I've seen when African people or our people have the upper hand, they have done that, but they don't necessarily have a consistent pattern of doing that. But them Arabs and them white folks though, even them Asians don't necessarily treat people like that. They get the upper hand, as long as you don't fool with them, they pretty much straight. You know what I'm saying? If you studied any Oriental kingdoms, read anything about them, you don't hear them having mass wars, really oppressing, suppressing other people. They oppress and suppress their own people. You know what I'm talking about? But you don't hear them going out doing that to other people. But them Arabs and the white folks though, savages. Pure and unadulterated savages. Straight up, read a history book. He done read something, he know I ain't lying. The only difference between white folks and Arabs is them Arabs go a whole extra mile. You know what I'm saying? So you think white folks are savages. Them Arabs go by 10 extra miles further. That junk just ain't put out there because you don't live amongst them. They some sick people. Yeah, some of the stories of what they did to people during the Crusades. Yeah, pretty rough. But nevertheless, when you look at the lust of your father, the devil, this is why Satan is what? He's a lustful individual. He wants to murder. Like what did Yahushua say? He want to rob, kill, and destroy. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at the stealing and the killing, that's already 2 violations of the 10 right there, right? So when he wants you to have the knowledge of good and evil, so you can have knowledge of what what lust is, or the works of the flesh, like we read in Galatians 5, and then he can play on your lust. Because he always lusted. So you have to check that when you always got a desire for things outside of Yahuwah to make sure that you got yourself in line. Because you can have desires and you could be desiring the wrong thing. And again, it's taking you way over here and you don't want to go over here. That's why he tell you, examine yourself whether you be in the faith, lest you be a reprobate. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't examine themselves to see if they in the faith. And if you in the faith, is the joy of Yahuwah present? Is the love of Alahym present? Is there gentleness? Is there meekness? Is there goodness? Because see right this here, right? You have people say, I got the Ruach. Then there should be evidence of that, of those things in you consistently. There has to be evidence of that. Because the fruit of the Ruach, those things that he mentioned, is the evidence that Yah is present. Because that's who he is. That's the proof. That's the evidence. That's the byproduct of the tree. Now, what direction I was finna go at this afternoon? Besides that, I had something else. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Work with me. Come on back to Genesis chapter 3. I think I got everything I needed in 2, but let me check. Listen, I'm asking. Well, you wasn't in here, little muffin, so I'm gonna ask you this question. In the kingdom, in New Jerusalem, to be specific, Do you know what trees would be in that place? Remember, he said he made all those trees, right? Tree of life, tree of knowledge and good and evil. Do you know what trees would be in New Jerusalem according to what the word says? Is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil going to be there? Why wouldn't it be there? You say he is the tree of good and evil? I said the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Will it be there? Why wouldn't it be there? I will accept that answer. It's good enough. It's not detailed enough, but I will accept. Do you know why it wouldn't need to be there? That's the correct answer. Let's come over here to Genesis 3 and 22. That's something I meant to mention it to y'all last night. And I want y'all to see that. And we're going to run through that. The tree of knowledge of good and evil will not be present in New Jerusalem. It's not going to be there. We have to look at and see how New Jerusalem will be as the Garden of Eden. We already read in Revelation chapter 2 starting out that the tree of life going to be there, right? And then we'll look through that at certain things that pertain to the kingdom. But let's read something here in Genesis 3 and 22. And Yahuwah Alahym said, behold, the man has become as one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore Yahuwah sent him forth from the garden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Now remember, the word for keep is that shamar. You know, the guard. So why do you think he's got to guard that? Why do you think he got to guard that? Because now you have condemnation in the earth, and faith has now been removed. So the gift of life that comes through faith has to be protected until the time it is revealed. But the complete answer is Hamashiach was slain from the foundation of the world. So if the manifestation of the mystery of Alahym was manifested at this point, the whole story is over. That's what happens to you. You should have been sitting on your bum. Isaiah 51. Isaiah 51 and 3. Well, we're making 51 and 1. Ain't gonna bother me. Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek Yahuwah. Look unto the rock, whence you are hewn, into the hole of the pit, whence you are digged. Look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you, for I called him alone, and Baruch them and increased him. What that nigga called his whole jaw. Yeah. Y'all will learn to sit down. Yeah, he called his whole jaw. He said, for Yahuwah shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. He will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Yahuwah. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. So we had to read that to establish that he's going to make it like the Garden of Eden. Let's take a look at Ezekiel chapter 47. Ezekiel 47 and 1. Ezekiel 47 and 1. Afterwards he brought me again into the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. For the forefront of the house stood towards the east, and the waters came from under the right side of the house at the south side of the altar. Does anybody remember who else told you about waters coming from under the house? Another prophet told you about it. Any of y'all aware off the top of your head who that prophet was? It was Zechariah. That is correct. Then brought he me out of the way of the gate northward, and led me about the way unto the utter gate, by the way that looked eastward. And behold, there ran waters on the right side. And when that man had the line in his hand and went forth eastward, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he brought me through the waters, and the waters were to the ankles. Again he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters, and the waters were to the knees. Again he measured 1,000 and brought me through the waters, and the waters were to the loins. Afterwards he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass over, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. He said unto me, Son of man, have you seen this? Then he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now when I returned, behold, at the bank of the river were very many trees on the one side and on the other. Then he said unto me, These waters issues out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. Now let me ask you a question. Why do the waters need to be healed? According to this text, the text tell you about the waters. Why do the waters need to be healed? Who knows why the waters need to be healed?
Well, that's the people, man.
No, not in this instance.
I was thinking it's uncleanness.
Is uncleanness in them? Does anybody else know why these waters need to be healed? Let's go to the book of Revelation and show you why these waters need to be healed. Revelation 6, I want to say. Might be 8, actually. 8. Revelation 8 and 11. Matter of fact, Revelation 8 and 10. Revelation 8 and 10. And the third Malachim sounded, and there fell a great star from Shamahim, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountain of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. You know what I'm saying? And then also, I know he made mention to you that he also did something else to the water. And what was that? He turned them into blood. You know what I'm saying? So come on back to Ezekiel 47. So the waters need to be healed. That's where it come in at, where you can say is that the people can't partake in the water. Ezekiel 47 and 9. And it shall come to pass that everything that live which move whatsoever the river shall come shall live. Now what waters are these that if they come across this water they'll live? Who knows where that's at in the text? It's in the text. And remember, this is the kingdom. Please understand and know this. And truth be told, the new heaven and new earth is already been fashioned. I want y'all to remember this. I've told y'all this repeatedly. Starting at Ezekiel chapter 40 all the way to Ezekiel chapter 48, that's the kingdom. That ain't something that ain't came to pass yet. Some people say, see, that's when the Jews came back in the land in 1948. That's another thing how you know that certain stuff be staged for opposition, because they put them people in there and it was a major news story. You have to question any major news story you see and any person involved with it. They don't call it television programming for nothing. This stuff is staged and guided for propaganda purposes. And if you think this stuff is real, you're lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that these people will allow anything to come out that they can't control and dictate when they're trying to shift people's minds into a particular place? You know what I'm saying? That's just not on no conspiracy theory stuff. There's a reason why they got people who they call gatekeepers in certain professions that let people in. Everybody knows this too. Everybody knows in certain professions there's somebody who can get you in the door and there's somebody who can keep you out. And you notice that they let certain people in, and it's that, they're in the third. And I know niggas make videos about all type of stuff, but some of that stuff is not phony. A lot of that stuff is actual reality. That's what happens to you. Yeah, you laugh at you in your face. Hey, why did she have to tell you all the same thing over and over again? Now, if she was to slap you upside your head, you would think she was wrong. But yet she does not. So hearken to her voice. Thank you. So, It's like this here period. Like, that's not to say that certain people don't come from certain background, but don't you find it funny that a lot of people in a lot of prominent positions are have been in fraternities and sororities? You don't ever pay attention to that. I'm talking about not just black ones either, because white people join fraternities and sororities too. You just not aware of them because you ain't white. You know what I'm saying? Who? Boy, y'all know them white boys known for having frat parties, and they quite raucous if you familiar with them. You know what I'm saying? Them white boys get it in. Come on, man. Everybody talk about Skull and Bones, but you don't realize how many people who was a part of that fraternity that have become president or high-ranking politicians? Most of them. So you think these niggas, you think somebody finna subject themselves to being spanked on their butt and all this other stuff them niggas doing if there's not a benefit or profit from doing so? Do you know what I'm talking about? You think niggas become Masons just to become Masons? It's because they look for the people who join these organizations and see the ones who they can use to promote their aims. They just ain't putting anybody on the evening news. They just not giving anybody a microphone. Do you know what I'm saying? If you think they just gonna put anybody on TV and let them run their mouth, you foolish. You don't realize when you look at black people, they pick the most ignorant niggas they can find. Look at all the women on that show you had me watching that day you did my hair the first time. All them hoes ignorant. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? And majority of our women want to emulate these ignorant hoes. You know what I'm saying? And talk about these ignorant hoes like they real people. This stuff scripted. I told you, right? After that episode, what you had me looking at them niggas in there arguing about going in her closet. I seen that junk on the internet the next day. Now this is a topic of conversation for grown people about how a woman acted by some people going in her closet. Nigga, who cares? Why is this woman even important? What does she do? Nothing but make you want to be like her, a loud, masculine woman. Because that's what she is, a loud, masculine woman. You ought to be disgusted every time you see her. You make me sick. Let me throw up in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, we don't realize that because you've been programmed and desensitized to particular behaviors that you don't even sit back and look at. This ain't right. Come on, man. Cardi B everywhere. This hoe is disgusting in every aspect of life. Especially if you godly. That's disgusting. What she promotes and what she's teaching your daughter to be a whore. You think they put this hoe on TV for nothing? You know what I'm saying? You went from being an extra on a reality show to being one of the largest selling female artists in the world, and you think that was just because she had pure talent? I seen something, and I know this here because Glover done told me this before, that Dr. Dre don't produce nothing. You know what I'm saying? So a nigga was like, what is Dr. Dre's purpose? What is he really here for if he's not making no music? Now, I already knew this from back in the day. So when Glover told me this, I knew he wasn't lying. Because everybody know Daz produced most of the Chronic. Everybody know Daz produced most of Doggy Style. This is known. But he takes credit. That nigga will put a loop and a drum and say he produced it, don't give you no credits, and don't pay you for it. And then nigga be like this here, he the greatest producer ever. But he was like, look at what he was involved with. The first real gangster rap group. And push that type of image into black people's consciousness at that time. That didn't exist in 1988. Till them niggas came out. There was gangster rappers before then, Schoolie D in Philadelphia. Wasn't nobody listening to this nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Wasn't nobody outside of New York City listening to Cool G rap. You know what I'm talking about? Next thing you know, these niggas getting letters from the president and all that, and then that ethos of wanting to be a gangster exploded across the whole country. Then he said, what we come after that? He came with Death Row. We already know we're on with that. There's even no. Then he came with the druggy cracker Eminem, and there you go. And now look what all these niggas out here doing. You know what I'm saying? Because they were like, this nigga don't got no talent. He ain't doing nothing. So what's his purpose? Niggas like he the gatekeeper. He let niggas in. Now I know this here. They're serious. And Glover said it. Like, well, that nigga take credit for your work now. He'll take credit for your work. That's a low down. You have to look at that. What is that nigga there for? And who did he know? How are you able to start, not one, even though he ain't really own Ruthless Records, not two, but three highly successful music labels, and you don't do absolutely nothing? You know what I'm saying? So who put you there, and what is the purpose of you being there? We can't be, if we're supposed to be wise, and if we're supposed to have the ruach, and we're supposed to have the knowledge of good and evil, then we're supposed to be wise enough to understand what's going on around us. Ain't no way in the world we supposed to look at he just that talented. No, somebody put that nigga there. You know what I'm saying? Somebody put him there for a reason. You know what I'm talking about? You think people run like this here, right? Now this is documented history. Franklin Roosevelt, president for 12 years, came out his mouth and said no president is elected, they selected. So if you see somebody running for president, you think they just let them run if they get on TV. You know what I'm talking about? You got people who run for president, you don't never hear about them. But if they get on TV, meaning they part of debates, they run news stories about them. That nigga, he down with the plan. He's down with the plan. Whatever the plan may be. But he down with it because the people not putting no microphone in anybody's face. You think they'll put you on the news every day? You think they'll put you on the news every day? Not if they already gonna be comfortable to knowing what you gonna say before you go out there. No, they're not gonna do that. You think they're gonna let you go on promo tours and this, that, there, and the third, or putting out music of a certain ilk? No, they're not gonna do that. You think they're gonna let anybody be in a movie and make them stars? Stop playing. It's not playtime. And you know better. Abigail, get up there and sit with your sister. I just want you to think about that. The reason why I want you to think about that, because they're using things to push a lawless agenda. You know what I'm saying? It's not about no new world order and all that other stuff. It's trying they're trying to push iniquity. So that when lawlessness is at its peak, and you see the man of sin coming and he preaching peace, and then these people who are lawless start hearkening to him, and he start teaching them, then you ain't gonna think nothing wrong with it, because you gonna see him stopping the lawlessness that you agreed with or were desensitized to or turn your head to. Not realizing the lawlessness is not stopping. It's still continuing. So that's why you have to be cognizant and aware and not look at everything at face value as if it's real. Because if it comes through that TV or it comes through some speakers, that junk is phony. It's not real. That's not real life. We know this because you got a television show. You got television shows on multiple different networks of people of no talent and no nothing, period. That only purpose is for children to model themselves after these people. It's not just them too. You have stuff like the Jersey Shore and all that there. Certain rappers and all that there. Look how ignorant these niggas is. They know black people latch to entertainment and athletics. They can make anybody a star who they want to be a star. And they can destroy anybody's career. There was a man named Paul Robeson whose career they destroyed in the early 1900s and 1920s. He was an athlete and an actor, and he refused to do any roles that portrayed black people in a demeaning fashion, and they destroyed his career. And he never had the career that he could have had, and he was an outstanding actor, probably the best of his time. You know what I'm saying? Because he refused to compromise himself. See, there's too many people out here who compromise themselves for money and fame. Same way as too many people who will compromise the word for validation of their flesh and their desire. You have to be on guard with that and cognizant of that. You know, people always tell you this here, right? Just because it look good don't mean it is good. That's what we get fooled at. Oh, that look good. I want to do that. I want to do this. No, you don't. No, you don't. But I'm speaking that's for us. Those that's on the street, those that's sitting in the room, you claim that you serve the living God, so you're supposed to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. You're supposed to have enough sense to know this stuff going on around you in this world is phony. These people are not real. They're playing a role. You know what I'm saying? And they're playing a role for the purpose of pushing the propaganda of the time. The propagandas of the time have switched from generation to generation. You know what I'm saying? We're in a different time, so they push a different propaganda. When I was a teenager, the propaganda was different. You know what I'm saying? When I was in my 20s, the propaganda was different. Now I'm almost 40, and it's drastically different than what it was when I was a teenager. Like I told you, overnight, people are homosexuals and bulldaggers in the open. Overnight. Just like I mentioned before, overnight, you got trannies. People telling me, you disrespected me because you called me sir, I'm a woman. No, you're not a woman. You are a man. You know what I'm saying? All this type of stuff, man. Family structure destroyed. Everything destroyed because we done strayed from our maker and strayed from having any type of standard because people don't really want a standard and don't really love righteousness and want to be of the devil. Because I said it last night and I say it again. 1 John 3:8. He that commits sin is of the devil. Accept it. We know why they are the devil? Because the lust of their father they will do. They want to commit the adultery. They want to have the lasciviousness. They love the heresies, the idolatry, the witchcraft, the malice. They love that. That's why they participate in it. And if you a servant of the living God, that stuff's supposed to disgust you. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm not bigging you up. Hey, if you do certain things, respect, that's deep. It's respect to you. But nah, man, I don't hold you in that high regard. Nigga, my God hates you. He said he hate iniquity. That's what he says. So guess what you're supposed to do? He said all those that love Yahuwah love the good, hate the evil. So he even telling you that in regards to the tree of life. You have the knowledge of good and evil. Love that which is good from that tree. Hate the things that are evil in it. If people actually lived the word like they supposed to and actually held them in value, because I just seen a woman say this who in the word, oh, I don't want to deal with no more men in this truth. I'd rather deal with somebody out of it. It's because you not keeping the word and you not doing what it say. That's why y'all keep picking wicked niggas over and over and over again. Ain't no way in the world somebody who's been in the word done been with 3 wicked men back to back. Now the problem is you. Dead serious though. The problem is you now. You know what I'm saying? What you say? You been in the word, you done picked 3, you done had 3 bad relationships. The problem is you now. Clearly you can't discern a righteous man from a wicked one. Or you're moving too fast. And either way it go, you can't discern. And vice versa. If a nigga be like, man, these Hebrew women ain't about nothing. The problem is you, sir. If you done had 3, 4 wicked women, the problem is you. Them women might be wicked, but clearly you the problem. You the problem. Because ain't nowhere in the world a righteous person to make that mistake that many times. I give you 1. I can't give you 3, 4. I give you 1. Everybody do 1. I can't give you 3, 4, because at that point you're stupid. Dead serious though. You'll be surprised, bro. Them women be on Facebook talking about that junk all the time. I can't pick none of these brothers. I done heard too many horror stories. They want to be tyrants and rule over us. Some of them might have just wanted you to obey and you just didn't want to listen. So you called him a tyrant. Because he told you, nah, we don't do that in my house. You want to oppress me? All right then. All right then. That could be the case. All these niggas, like right, we know some of them niggas wicked, but all these niggas can't be around here busting heads now. You know what I'm saying? Plus you only one witness, so I'm supposed to believe you because you told me that. I ain't saying you're lying. But I just can't go off of that because you said that. You got to remember that. You know what I'm saying? You know what our law say. Mouth of one witness, that's not sufficient. That's not sufficient. Because guess what? You can say anything to make somebody look bad. People do it all the time. How many of y'all done had somebody come to you and talk bad about a person you ain't never met just so you wouldn't like them because they don't like them? You know what I mean? But see, if you know our law, you know you can't do that. 1, even if you don't know our law, you're a real simple individual. If you let that happen, if you let a nigga distort your vision of another person that you don't even know, you phony. Ezekiel 47, man. 47 and 9. I think I read 47 and 9. Make that verse 10. And it shall come to pass that the fishes shall stand upon it from Engedi even unto Engelim. They shall be a place to spread forth nets. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding many. But the miry places thereof and the marshes thereof shall not be healed. They shall be given to salt. And the river upon the bank thereof on this side and on that side shall grow all trees for meat, whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because the waters they issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof will be for medicine. See, people take this and see the herbs is your medicine. That's not talking about this. Not to say that the leaves and the herbs are not for medicine, but that's not talking about this. This is what I mean when people grab scripts to use it for their own benefit. This is in the kingdom. So this ain't talking about right now. Because it said the tree here with the waters that water this tree would come from where? The sanctuary. What is the sanctuary? Who knows what the sanctuary is?
That's the only way to have it. It's the tabernacle.
Anybody else know? Anybody else know the sanctuary? That's not the correct answer. Anybody else know what the sanctuary is? Sanctuary is a house. But he said, that's the answer. Remember, he said the sanctuary that the Lord has made without hands. He said in that place, he said that the Alahym and Yahusha and the Lamb are the temple of it.
That's what I think about.
Now, that if you look at it, yeah, he the high priest, but we want it done. That's specific answer. So the waters is issuing from who? Yahusha. That's what's watering the tree. So you looking at this, that's not right now. Because where is this tree this is a specific tree he's talking about. Not just any tree, not just any herbs. This is a specific tree. Let's take a look at Jeremiah 17. Yeah, what we talking about? Say labor for the meat that don't perish. Because that meat from that tree ain't perishing. Why is that meat from that tree not perishing? Because there's no law against what? Gentleness, goodness, faith. You know what I'm talking about? Loving kindness, love, self-control. Ain't no Torah against that. Jeremiah 17:7. I'll give you verse 5 though. Thus saith Yahuwah, cursed be the man that trust in man, and make flesh his arm, whose heart depart from Yahuwah. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good come, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, and a salt land, and not inhabit it. See that right there? What you think that place is right there? What he talking about? And we done read the antithesis of that earlier in Isaiah 51. He said it's going to be like a desert place for those who trust in man, who make flesh their arm, who trust in their own heart. He said these individuals will inhabit a parched place in the wilderness, a salt land that will not be inhabited, and it'll be like a heath in the desert. That's exactly what it is. Now let's look at the difference. Baruch is the man that trusts in Yahuwah, and whose hope Yahuwah is, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters that spread out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat come. But her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall she cease from yielding fruit. Now this gives you an example of the tree of life, but let's look at another example of dealing with this particular tree. Matthew chapter 13. Uh, 13 and 18. Abigail, give it to her. Nobody playing with you. Hear ye the parable of the sower. When anyone hear the word of the kingdom and understand it not, then come the wicked one, which catch away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed in the stony places, the same is he that hear the word, and annoyed with joy receive it. Yet he have not root in himself, but endure for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arise because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that receives seed among the thorns is he that hear the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he become unfruitful. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that hear the word and understand it, which also bear fruit, and bring forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Now why is this important if he say that person who trusts in Yah never ceases from yielding fruit? The same person who received that seed, because how can a tree be grown? How can a tree bear fruit unless there was a seed to allow that tree to grow? You know what I'm saying? So when you take the fact that when you hear, notice that when he said that they hear the word and understand it, that means Faith come by hearing, hearing come by the word. That means you heard the gospel of Yahushua. Yahushua came and give you an understanding. Therefore, because you have this understanding, now you're able to produce the fruit that you read in Galatians chapter 5. So you can't produce the fruit without the faith, which means you got to take hold to the tree of life. You can't get that fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil because that tree produces death. It only produces death because it gives you knowledge of what sin is. It never, like I said, right? They ate from that tree, they died, right? It said if they ate from the tree of life, what was going to happen? They were going to live forever. So you see the difference between the two. So you want the fruit that leads to everlasting life. Again, that don't mean there's nothing wrong with the law. It's that the law was never meant to produce everlasting life. That was never its intent. And it shows you that in the beginning. That was never his intent. It was never the intent. Doesn't mean the law's not good. Doesn't mean that a man shouldn't keep it. Because again, we can sit back and say that. What's wrong with not committing adultery? Who can say anything against that? What's wrong with not lying or being covetous? You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing you can speak against that. But you can speak against it when you do contrary to it. Now it's a problem. Because what did y'all say in Leviticus 26? If you be contrary to him, what is he going to do? He going to be contrary to you. So when you have knowledge of what the law, that's why he kicked them out the garden, because now you contrary to me. So I have no choice but to be contrary to you and expel you from here. So we have to understand, also you have to understand what Yah mercy is in that situation. Because he could have easily killed him and made a new one. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what I was trying to do, because what you partook in was nothing evil. It just made you aware of death and what is evil. But it was nothing evil intrinsically. How many of y'all been told that tree of life, tree of knowledge of good and evil, was evil? I'm just asking because I haven't never really heard anyone say nothing about it either direction. Yeah, you don't really hear it talk. How many of y'all felt like you understood what that tree was about? You know what I'm saying? But it's just simply, well, it looks like you're having a bad day. A bad day. What's the direction I want to go over this one?
I just feel it was like him testing their obedience, like him telling them to do something, and how I always do it, like faith. It's like as far as listening to what he's saying and doing it.
So when we look at this tree, right, we're trying to get life from this tree. Now we read that in Ezekiel 47 for a reason. So you could get some understanding of what's going on when we get to the book of Revelation. Because he told you he'll give you this tree of life. So let's come over here to the book of Revelation now. Matter of fact, come over here to Revelation. We finished that one. And let's come over here to Revelation 21. Let's do it like this. Because we talked about a new heaven and new earth a little bit last week too. Matter of fact, before we read that, come to Isaiah 64 and 4. I just feel like sharing this one here for you because that just came to my mind just now. Make it 64 and 1. It says, "Oh, that you would rend Shamahim, that you would come down from the mountain, the mountains might flow down at thy presence." What does that sound like to y'all? This is what he said. "Oh, that you would rend Shamahim, and that you would come down, that the mountains might flow down at your presence." That's when he come back. So he says, "As when the melting fire burned, the fire caused the waters to boil, to make your name known to your adversaries, that the nations may tremble at your presence." Now, who are his adversaries? The beast and the false prophet. So I'm reading this here because, again, we got to set the stage for the mystery of iniquity has got to be set too. And we're going to start the process of talking about mysteries before we depart. Y'all know what mystery means, right? The word is only used in the Greek. It's not used in Hebrew. It's a different. The word closely used in Hebrew for mystery would be secret. But mysteries in Greek simply just means hidden counsel, a mystery. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It's not really, because what do people say? God working mysterious? No. It's just hidden counsel. A hidden advice and a hidden purpose. That means something not readily seen, readily manifested. The mystery of iniquity hasn't been readily manifested. The mystery of Alahym has been manifested. You know what I'm saying? It just hasn't been completed. You all right? Moving like you're seeing the spirit. Oh no. Man, Abby still going? Verse 4, right? Or verse 3, say, when you did terrible things which we looked not for, you came down, the mountains flowed down at your presence. You see what he said? You remember what the word terrible means, right? Y'all remember what that means? Great or awesome. So we seen awesome things that we didn't look for. You see, that's the thing. You ought to have been looking. Because what Yahushua told you to do? Watch. Say, watch. He said for, what's going on, Brother James? He said, oh, for since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have the eye seen, O Alahym, beside you, what he had prepared for him that wait for him. You see what he told you? You know what he's telling you, right? Ain't nobody seen what he got in Shamaheem for us but him. You know what I'm saying? The things that we looking at is trying to get a glimpse of what he has prepared for those who wait for him. See, a lot of people don't wait for Yahuwah. That's why you end up in bad situations and circumstances. Because you don't wait on Yah. You do stuff on your own accord. I want you to, from now on, to think about that. If you want to look at doing stuff on your own accord, that's sowing fig leaves. Because you didn't wait on Yah. Because if you'd have waited on Yah, guess what would have happened? You wouldn't need no fig leaves or no coat of skins. But we don't like to wait on Yah. That's our problem. Come on to Revelation 21. 21:1. And I saw a new Shamaheem and new Arats. The first Shamaheim and the first Aras were passed away, and there was no more sea. I, John, saw the Kadash city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Alahym, out of Shamaheim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of Shamaheim saying, behold, the tabernacle of Alahym is with men, and he will dwell with them. And they shall be his people, and Alahym himself shall be with them, and be their Alahym. Alahym shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. He that sat upon the throne said, behold, I will make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are faithful and true, or true and faithful. He said unto me, it is done. I'm the Aleph and the Tau, the beginning and the end, and I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. See, that was those waters in that Ezekiel 47 rising up, that when they got it, they'll be healed. That's why he said in another place, come drink of the water freely, like we done told you before in Isaiah 55, when he say, help, come to the waters, everyone that thirsts. Why do you buy bread? He said, why do you, you know what I'm saying, labor for that which is not bread? And why do you buy milk for price? He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Alahym, and he shall be my son. So you have to sit back and you look at that, right? Now he say all these former things are passed away. So if there's no more death, this is another instance why you know the tree of knowledge of good and evil is not present. What happens with that tree? You die. You die. So there's no reason for this tree to be here. Because Ezekiel 47 told you there were plenty of trees going to be there. And then it talked to you about one tree specifically. As when in Genesis, it told you that there were plenty of trees there. And then he started talking about what? Two trees specifically. One being faith, one being the law. You done ate of the law and died. Now I've reversed that and given you the gift of eternal life through my son. There's no need for that. But let's look at another reason why there ain't no need for that. Let me be exhaustive for those who might not be familiar. Ezekiel chapter 18. And then from Ezekiel chapter 18. I think it was just in my head and I forgot it that fast. Y'all wouldn't come like that. Ezekiel 18 and 1. And that is Zephaniah chapter 3, about verse 5. Shalom, man. What's good? All right, Abigail, you've come to your senses. Ezekiel 18:1. The word of Yahuwah came unto me again, saying, what mean you that you use this proverb concerning the land of Yasharal? The fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children of Teeth are set on edge. As I live, saith Yahuwah Alahym, you shall not have occasion any more to use this proverb in Yasharal. Behold, all souls are mine. As the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sin, it shall die. Y'all know what Paul wrote you in Romans, right? What he told you in Romans chapter 6, verse 23. That goes along with just this right here, what we just read in Ezekiel 18:4. Y'all all know it. They done gave it to you in every Bible tract you ever picked up. Every Bible tract you ever picked up, they told you the wages of sin is death. That's what he said, right? But he said, but the gift of life is through Yahushua HaMashiach. So when you look at it with the knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil is the knowledge of what sin is. Once sin is manifested, you die. That's why he said the soul that sin, it shall die. But let's look at what he said the people in the kingdom would be like in Zephaniah chapter 3. And we just had this conversation the other night, where individuals like, nobody can be perfect. And I'm like, you only believe that because that's what you've been told. That's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? No one has ever told you that you can be without sin, that you can suffer in the flesh and deny yourself every day. Because nobody is going through the word and pulling that out because they're sinning themselves, or they want to keep you in a constant state of mediocrity that you can never actually become godly as Yah has intended. Because he said he made man upright and there was no condemnation in the garden. We can see that that's been established. You know what I'm saying? So if there wasn't no condemnation in the garden and he made man upright, why would you think it would be any different now? Does that make sense? Would it be different now if it wasn't that the case then? So you mean to tell me Adam's stronger than any person now? No, they're not. It said that John the Baptist's parents were blameless according to the law. Ain't that what it said in Luke? Definitely did. It ain't hard. What's hard is getting out your own way. See, you got knowledge of your flesh and you want to feed it because you think you're smarter than Yah. You like them fig leaves to sow on yourself. You think you're smarter than him. You really don't desire your husband's will and his vision. You want your own will and your own vision. Zephaniah 3:5. He said the just Yahuwah is in the midst. That's a little too much, y'all. 3 and 10. We don't need all that. That's just a little bit too much. Zephaniah 3:10. For beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring my offering. In that day shall you not be ashamed for all your doings, wherein you have transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of you them that rejoice in your pride, and thou shalt be no more haughty because of my Kadash mountain. So when you see this one here, he's going to remove sinners. That's what he just told. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahuwah. The remnant of Yasharal shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth, for they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. So what did he just say they will not do? They not committing no sin. So why are they not committing any sin? Now I don't have the 1 John in my book, but 1 John 3 and 7, he go to tell you that, well, first he tell you about verse 5, that let no man deceive you, that he that is righteous even as Yahushua is righteous. So don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that you can't be that. Because people lie to you quick and tell you that. And most of the time when people lie and tell you that, it's usually because they're ignorant. They don't know. They just go on what everybody else taught them. Our righteousness is as filthy rags. You are correct. My righteousness is as filthy rags. That's why I took God's righteousness on. That's pure and pristine. I appreciate you though. That's what you gotta be quick on your feet. You know what I'm saying? Tell them what time it is. Your righteousness is filthy rags. You're right. That's why I took the Lord's on. That's clean linen, baby. Clean and white. So righteousness of the saints, you ain't know. Clearly you ain't know. That's why you said that. I ain't mad at. See, you can't get mad at people for being ignorant. Most people, you know, the average person, and most of y'all can say the same. Before you knew better, shoot. Some of you might not read it that often now. The average person don't read the Bible at all. I take that back. Read the scriptures at all. They don't read the book of Yahuwah at all, not on a consistent basis. So they don't even really know what's in it. Most of everybody in this room, everybody on this earth has repeated things that they heard somebody else say was in that book that they had no knowledge of, that it was actually there. Straight up and down. Huh?
Yeah.
I know I ain't lying. Shoot. Because the first part of it, most time you told about it, you was a child, so you know you ain't read it. I can remember being just told when first time I read in that book, I was about 16, it wasn't no that you wasn't supposed to eat no pork. I asked my mama that. I said, Mom, I thought you said, I said, Mom, I thought only Muslims didn't eat pork. I was just asking because I'm wondering, like, why this in here? She was like, pray over your food and it's blessed. Well, you know, my parents raised us to, research people's statements to make sure they telling the truth and don't take no man's word for nothing. And I diligently went through that book and I didn't find that though. I said, Mom, that's not what that book says. She should say, leave me alone. I said, very well then. But I just want you to know that what you told me is not in here. You know what I'm saying? I can remember being locked up and dude be like, you can't keep that law, and reading stuff in there. And I'd be like, brother, why does that say that right here then? Oh, see, young nigga, you don't understand. You got to understand the grace. I'm like, I hear all what you're talking. But you said that you couldn't do this. And I just read this right here and I showed it to you. And I'm asking you, explain to me why this is here when you said that this wasn't here. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't get no answer. You know what I'm saying? I done seen people lately say that Revelation ain't talking about that the Lord was dark skinned. I'm like, wow, it says it right there. It's pretty obvious. You know what I'm saying? But hey, people go for what they go for. That's why he tell you to seek the book of Yahuwah out and read. If you seek the book of Yahuwah out and read and you search the scriptures daily to see if these things are so, can't nobody lie to you. You know what I'm saying? If people can lie to you because you don't search it, you don't seek it, you don't read it, you don't understand it, so a nigga can come tell you anything. Nigga can tell you a baboon the Lord and you gonna go for it. For real. Wait till that man show up and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see what I'm talking about. And those who name in the book of life gonna be looking like shoes. Niggas told them niggas they ought to been reading. Niggas told them they ought to been hearing. But guess what? You know what was more important to you? Your video games, your movies, your TV shows, and everything else. That was more important to you. You have to realize something. Let's hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Alahym and keep his commandment. You are not here for yourself. I told y'all this numerous times. We getting ready to come up on Passover. You realize that's when he bought you, right? You do realize that. You think that man just got up there on that tree and hung from that tree and got abused and slapped and spit on just to do it? Nigga, your life does not belong to you. I don't know who told you that, but they lied to you. It don't. And you can pay him now or you can pay him later. You know what I'm saying? I would advise you to pay him now. You know what I'm talking about? Because you can live for yourself and you're going to pay him later. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why I mentioned like what I said, what Dr. Murray said with her husband. She didn't have no vision for her life to go get a doctorate. But his vision for their family, he put her through college for 8 years for the purpose of doing what they're doing right now. And that was for the purpose to help individuals understand what a family structure scripturally is. This woman has a literal doctorate. She ain't one of them fake doctors or honorary doctors. This woman's a literal doctor. You know what I'm saying? In her field of study. And that's because her desire was to her husband. And what his vision was for their family. You know what I'm saying? We come in a society that you have two separate people with two separate visions, and you wonder why you have a 70% divorce rate in this country. You know what I'm saying? But not even 70%, but that 70% of divorces are initiated by the woman. Because 9 times out of 10, she don't want to mesh with what he got going on. Whether he right or wrong. Because sometimes these women slide because these niggas is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Some women slide because they don't want to listen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how sad that is when you got dudes who make memes about get you a woman that'll listen? You already supposed to be listening. That's masculine if you don't listen. That's nothing feminine about a woman who don't listen. And no woman should be proud to say, I listen. You supposed to. So you don't get no points for that. That's no different than a dude say, I take care of my family. You're supposed to. You don't get no points for that. You don't get no points for doing what you're supposed to do. That's a part of your job description. If you don't want to listen to a man, don't get married. But like I told this woman years ago when she said, I'll never submit to a man. I said, you going to hell. She said, why are you going to say that? Because if you won't submit to a man, you won't submit to the Lord. That's what you just told me. That's what I heard. You know what I'm saying? I ain't thinking about some old raggedy, snotty old nigga in your face. You just told me if you can't submit and serve a man, that you won't submit and serve the Lord. The way you serve your husband is indicative of how you feel about Yahuwah. Period. Ain't no way around that. The way a man treats his wife is indicative if he's of the devil or not. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you're not treating your wife in the fashion that he said to treat her, then you're not representing him. And if you're not representing him, then who you represent? It can't be nothing but the opposite side of the coin, right or wrong. There ain't no gray area. So that means you represent the devil. Ain't no way around that. Straight up and down. And your treatment of your wife, as the text states, is indicative of how you feel about yourself. Because he said, ain't no man you ever hated his own flesh, which is representative of how you feel about Yahuwah. Type of man mistreat his wife. You ain't never seen Yah ever mistreat his wife or even say anything remotely considered to be disrespectful. Did he tell about herself with some harsh language from time to time? Absolutely, but it wasn't without cause. She definitely earned that rebuke. See, you come into society now, it's like I mentioned the other day, right? Most women get told, oh, you the prize. No, you're not a prize, you're a gift. See, when you think you the prize, then you end up with pride. When you understand that you're a gift, then you understand that you're precious. Then you will understand that Yah would not just give you to anybody. And that man would understand what level of gift you are. If you get a great gift, you appreciate it, right? You treat it with care. That's what a man's supposed to do with his wife. That's your gift. He made man. He said it's not good for man to be alone. He created the woman for the man. That was the purpose. That's biblical family order. That's what he made the woman for, to aid, help, and support the man. Does this current society that we live in, do they believe that? Do they teach that? So guess what ends up happening? You got two people who are competing against one another. Or I just seen a woman get upset because a man said, you very successful in life. He said, but baby, you need to get a husband. And she got offended. Why would I want my God? I'm like, that's what he made you for. What do you mean? That's what he made you for. How can you say you believe in Yah and then you see that's what he made you for? That woman of God who's a help to her husband is to push the kingdom of heaven and whatever purpose that he sent them people in. That's what he made you for. Now you live in a society where women, I'm not defined by being married. Then what you defined by? Your degrees? Yah's not impressed. Your career accolades? Yah's not impressed. We're not talking about people. That's something totally different. We're talking about in heaven. If you got a doctorate or a PhD and you successful in your career or your business, I commend you. But do you think Yah care about that? He told us in Luke 16 and 15 that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination to Alahym. And you are those who justify yourselves before men. And that's the society that we live in. A mass of people who are trying to justify themselves before men. You know what I'm saying? That junk ain't cool. That junk ain't cool. It's going to cause you to lose your soul. That's why I mentioned that beforehand. Look at your values. Do you share this? Like, why don't even, it's a shame that we're not even taught to have them type of conversations. You don't even have them type of conversations. By the time you had them type of conversations, you've been married and had a whole bunch of children. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have it, but guess whose failure that is? That's our parents failing us. And that means their parents failed them. Because these conversations are supposed to be had. You're supposed to sit down as your children growing. You're supposed to have them conversations with them. How many of y'all in here, and I know this is I know it's going to sound dumb. It's not a rhetorical question. Everybody in here want their kids to keep the word, right? What y'all feel like the best way you can get them to walk in that? That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing they're looking at. You could take the time to sit down and read stuff with them, but if they not looking at that word is not bringing forth no fruit in their household from their mom and their daddy, then there will not be any impetus on their behalf to want to do it for themselves. I don't care how much you tell them. I don't care how much you tell them, go read your Bible. They got to see you living it in earnesty, not just doing it when you think they watching. But you do that day in and day out because that's who you are. And then 9 times out of 10, they will follow. You ain't even got to hit them across the head with it too often, other than just telling them about their God when you feel like telling them about it. Telling them about who they are and what seed of people they come from and what their God has done for our people in the past and what he's going to do for us in the future. You know what I'm saying? But to really be like, son, you got to do this. Daughter, you ain't got to do all that. If you live in it, they going to see it because they already want to be like you. That's what you got to understand. They already want to be like you. So if you being like y'all, guess who they going to want to be like? And they ain't even going to know that's who they want to be like because they thinking they following you. When really you following Yahushua, who following his Father in heaven. So that's who your children going to follow. It's really that simple. It ain't that difficult. But that would cause to put your pride to the side and your desires to the side and your lust to the side and give your desire over to your husband. And that's what people don't want to do. It ain't that hard like this here, right? A lot of women say, I support my husband. If you support your husband, your desire would be to him and whatever he got going on. But that's if he's giving you a detailed vision. Because you shouldn't be marrying nobody who ain't gave you no vision. You shouldn't be doing that. If he ain't give you no vision, he ain't ready to be no leader. I told you, there ain't no trial and error. You can't be trying stuff on the fly. It's lies involved. It's little children involved. That woman's involved. You can't be trial and error with that type of stuff. That's dangerous and selfish. You know what I'm saying? You'll be surprised how many dudes that somebody walked up to him and say, what's your vision for your family? What's the vision for your life? They ain't even got one. First, the screen there, a grown man. The first level we went through that talking about masculinity having a purpose. The first level of masculinity is having a purpose. If you have a purpose, that means you have a vision. If you have a vision, that means you know where you're going. And if you know where you're going, then you'll be able to sufficiently lead the people in the direction that you're trying to go in. Because you can see it. And guess what that woman's job would be able to do? Since she knows where you're going, then she can be able to assist to help you get there faster. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get there by yourself. But if you got a real help me, you get there faster. Because now she knows where to help at. Then you got to be humble enough as a man to let her do it. To let her do it. Stop having it in your pride to be like, she don't know what she doing. The minute you sit back, the minute you got in your brain that your wife don't know what you doing, you the fool for marrying somebody you felt like was intellectually inferior. Now you stupid. Because if you felt like she didn't know what she was doing and she wasn't smart enough, what you married her for? Does that make any sense? And people do it every day. They do it every day. Why would you marry a woman you don't trust to be able to handle your affairs? Why would you marry a woman you don't trust to be able to assist you? Why would you do that? Only because you're horny and you wanted to have legal sex? That's why you did it. Straight up. But guess what though? Stuff won't get better if don't nobody point that out and tell it. It need to be told. That's what's going on. I wouldn't dare marry a woman I don't trust. You know what I'm saying? What you mean? And I ain't talking about just trust like I trust you won't cheat on me. I have to trust your intelligence, your decision making, your judgment. I got to know that regardless if I'm present or not, I have to have the ability to know that my wife wouldn't have to call me to check with me to make a decision because I know that she's wise enough to handle that and make the right decision whether I'm present or not. You know what I'm saying? You want to have that level of confidence in your wife. Y'all running the business. What she need to check with you for? What you set her up for if she got to check with you? She should be able to handle that right on the spot because you know she's going to be able to handle it. But guess what? You ain't paying attention to that because all you worry about is what her booty look like. That's all you worry about. Straight up and down. Who? Why did too many homeboys be like, well, she was fine though. They wasn't paying attention to nothing in her brain. Shoot, booties get saggy just like titties get saggy and you look fade. But your mind is permanent. Your spirit is permanent. That stay forever. People more attracted on what they look like versus what they got on the inside. What the inside gonna matter, especially if you're trying to build a legacy. Most people ain't think about building no legacy. You just want to have sex and look at all these kids and take some photos and go on trips, and now your children ain't got nothing but some trips and your obituary. You ain't left them nothing. Shoot. It's a lot different when you're trying to build something. You're looking for a lot different things. You got all these hoes out here with builder bodies. These niggas going crazy for them. He ain't lying. That's what they got. Silicone everywhere. Like I say, niggas walk around. Why if a nigga walk around looking like a tranny, why would you be like, you know what? That's the woman I want to have my children.
You know, no hood that get serious.
on HUD? How you afford butt implants on HUD? Oh, you got a sugar daddy somewhere. But everybody on HUD ain't rent, ain't nothing though.
Yeah, but shoot, it's a hell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, now see, that's not HUD. See, that's Section 8. HUD don't necessarily break them niggas off. HUD, what it is HUD will give some niggas a voucher and they still have to pay. Oh, I know. You can live anywhere if people accept it. You know what I'm saying? But I neither here nor there though. That's just sort of the mentality though. I'm telling you, I done heard dudes say a woman's sexual prowess, you wouldn't make her your old lady. Like the stuff that women do it too. You make me and your man for the dumbest reasons. It just shows how superficial that we is as a people as a whole. You know what I'm saying? We pick people from the waist down. That's what I say. Oh, he'll make, oh, you know, it's just stupid stuff. I'm for real though. That would nigga be concerned with.
My homeboy got shot because my girl got everybody in the fine, and I get shot.
That say his homeboy got shot over one of them build the booty. That's bad.
So you got shot over one of them?
Yeah, he wasn't messing with her, but she got a body drug. Then he went over there. And then when he went over there, another dude came and he got getting the shootout. He got shot.
Got shot by the build the booty. Ain't that something? That's horrible. But it's like this, you know. Like why would you look at a woman who looked like a tranny and be like, she'll be a good mother? No, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna put it this way. Somebody that is a mature man, especially a godly man, when he see that, he don't see what y'all see. He sees somebody who's self-hating, with low self-esteem, because you not appreciative of what Yah gave you, so you feel like you had to put a numerous enhancements on yourself to make yourself feel better about yourself. I wouldn't mate with you. I just seen a brother today say he wouldn't mate with a woman who had any physical ailments or illnesses. And I felt them too. I wouldn't either. Because all you're doing is watering down my gene pool. But when you look in the animal kingdom, that's what happens. What you mean? You got diabetes and this, that, there, and the third. I'm not finna mate with you. No disrespect. It's different if I'm already with you and that happens. But I'm not gonna choose it.
So if she had cancer, you want to do
I'm good.
You can't help
Bro,
it.
you talking about wow.
If somebody running the
You
family,
married,
and you think the kids might have one, you're not going to
I mean, you probably don't think about it. I'm just saying that's just so hard.
But that's the reality though. That's natural selection. You don't mate with a weaker being. Like you don't do that. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga walk up, oh, I got sickle cell, diabetes, and hypertension. Oh, I'm good. Nice to meet you. I don't want no physical ailments, nigga, because you know why? You know what his point was? Because he's thinking about his children. You're going to pass that to my children. Now, my children have these weaknesses. But see, I'm looking past physical. If you have a mental ailment, I'm straight. And I ain't talking about mental health either. If you're stupid, you know what I'm talking about? If you can't critically think, why would I mate with you? My children are going to be stupid. That doesn't make sense. Now, I got to work twice as hard to make sure they're not as dumb as you. You know? No, but guess what? See, we don't think about none of that. They cute, though. That hoe dumb. She's literally dumb. And just because you got degrees don't mean you smart. Just because you got a high-ranking career don't mean you smart. That just means that you played the game with Mr. Charlie and he bumped you up a notch. Okay, play with it. They playing with it, but I ain't telling you no lie. I would not. Listen here. I would mate with a mentally weak woman. My children might be like that. My children might be. See, but guess what? We selfish. See, you ain't thinking about none of that. You thinking about yourself. It's the same token. That means, like I said, how many people, most people don't even sit down and have conversations about a nigga family medical history. You know what I'm talking about? So what type of ailments you got going on in your family? You know what I'm saying? Well, my mama died from this and my daddy died from that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Sound like everybody in your family sick. You know what I'm talking about? I'm all right, baby. I'm all right. You don't want to call? No, I don't want to call. I don't want to call. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay. It's all right. I appreciate your time. I'm telling you though, but if you look at nature and you look how animals breed, that's how they breed. They will not breed. A male animal will not breed with a weaker female animal. A weaker female animal will not breed with a weaker male animal. They will not do it. They will not do it. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's going to affect the offspring. So that's the point of not being unequally yoked with an unbeliever, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Because if the word is in you, then you're stronger than them. And that means they're weaker. And if you breed with them, you're going to breed weak children, because they will be sinners. Guaranteed. Period. You know what I'm saying? You don't breed with something that's weaker than you. That's common sense. You wonder why them white folks pick and choose how they breed and be breeding in their own family, because they know you're not finna water down their bloodline. Because they don't play them type of games. They gonna keep their bloodline strong. They do it overseas too. It ain't just white people. Arab people do it too. Asian people do it too. They won't water their bloodline down. Black people don't only want to water their bloodline down because you thinking about your penis and your vagina. That's what you thinking with. And your eyes, they look good. That nigga's dumb. You know the worst thing in the world, be married to a dumb man. What you gonna do with it? That nigga's useless. Worst thing in the world, be married to a dumb and lazy woman. Y'all know what T.I. said. Flip over the kiss, do something. That junk's not attractive, man. That junk ugly. You think different. Remember how we were talking about you read it? You do. If you know better, you do better. Well, if you know better, you wouldn't breed with weakness. Which meaning you wouldn't join yourself to sin and things that partake of sin, because sin is weakness. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't fool with that. They fooled with the tree of life because they thought that was strength and it was weakness. I mean, the tree of good and evil, because they thought it was strength, but it was really weakness. Because it took them down. Nevertheless, I think we good in the end of Zephaniah 3. But I'll read verse 14 because it feels like we should. Sing, O daughter of Zion, shout, O Yasharah, be glad and rejoice with all the heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahuwah have taken away your judgments and have cast out your enemy, the Malach of Yasharah, even Yahuwah is in the midst of thee, and thou shalt see evil, thou shalt not see evil anymore. I'll finish it all the way out too, all the way to the end of the chapter. And that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear you not in the Zion, let not your hands be slack. Notice how he said you won't see what anymore? Evil anymore. And why would you see evil? You're seeing evil by reason of the punishment for your sins. Yahuwah Alahym in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over you with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over you with singing. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly. What solemn assembly is this? Y'all remember? Tabernacles. Who are of you to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee. I will save her that halt and gather her that was driven out. And I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. And at that time I will bring you again, even in the time that I gather you. I will make you a name and a praise among all the people of the earth when I turn back your captivity before your eyes, saith Yahuwah. So you'll see your exile being turned back right before your face, right? But notice that he said that nobody in that place will be doing what? Any iniquity. Let's take a trip to Daniel chapter 12. Daniel 12:1. Now you had to sit back and look at that stuff. There was some women on my homeboy post. They were hot with him when he said that moment. That he wouldn't marry a woman with no physical ailments. That man said, and the worst part was they didn't pay attention to nothing he said. He said, if I married her and I made a vow before God and she got sick, he said, I'm going to hold my wife down. What you mean? You know what I'm saying? He said, I'm just not going to voluntarily choose one that has that. And I don't blame him. For real, that's natural selection. That's what they call natural selection. You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, like, rich people, they live by that. They will not do it. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're trying to get somebody money. Other than that, they're not going to do it. Yeah, they not. Huh?
Ain't be easy to find a woman ain't got something.
No, I ain't gonna be something. Most people, you should be healthy. No, he talking about, but in your 20s, you shouldn't have nothing wrong with you. Anemia is low iron. Some people would consider that a malady and they would pass.
I'm married.
She said, I already got it, so it don't matter. I already tricked her.
What I'm saying is that if you be with a woman, you find out she had cancer.
No, he mean after. He mean like you're not gonna just go look for.
No, it meaning you interested in somebody, you have a conversation with her, she tell you diabetes running my family. But it's in your gene pool.
Oh, it's in my gene.
It's in your gene pool. You know what I'm saying?
That man probably got alcoholic.
But no, alcoholism don't run. That's a choice. You can put the beer down. You know what I'm talking about? That's extreme.
I get that. I just seen some shallow.
No, it's not shallow at all.
It's shallow.
Not real shallow.
It's not shallow at all.
Like sister say, y'all know I can you can still you can have kids that be in a bunch of pain and stuff.
Yeah, you water down my gene pool. I'm not finna marry you and mate with you and you tell me you got all these diseases.
Okay, so they don't have the disease, but run in their family, so you won't be.
I'm skeptical.
Oh, that's a
But
lot.
nigga, that's what I'm gonna ask you about your family background.
And I would tell them, yeah, my mama kidneys failed, my auntie died from leukemia, my granddaddy them had a heart attack. I myself, I'm in good health.
How you know?
But it's in my family though. But no, what I'm saying is though, I done said this out loud though. Heart disease.
Everybody got something. Everybody got an auntie or something.
Heart disease is in my family, but I know that because it's in my family, I made a decision to take care of
So
myself.
like cancer, that's on both sides. Of my
Oh, cancer ain't on nobody's side of the family because cancer ain't got nothing to do with genetics. Cancer has nothing to do with genetics. Truth be told, diabetes ain't got nothing to do with genetics. Hypertension ain't got nothing to do with genetics. But if I know that you have these maladies and you don't take care of yourself, then 9 times out of 10, you're going to have these same bad habits and put them on my children.
I feel like a sister that
You know what I'm saying? And I don't want that. Like you got some people, I cook that good southern cooking. That's death cooking. I'm straight. I don't want that. I don't eat that.
That's slave cooking.
Straight up. All this grease and fat, and you thinking that's cool. I don't want to eat that crap. Straight up. For real. Well, I never forget it. My granddaddy died, and we went to Arkansas. My auntie Tony shot out. You know what I'm saying? And she seen that table. Oh, okay. She seen that table. Auntie Tony said, I see why Richard died. Look at all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? She ain't say it like, I see why Richard died. She's like, I see why Richard died. Look at this. Fried chicken everywhere. This here everywhere. Yeah, you can, but you know these people from... But it's 1991, so you know they probably wasn't doing that. I still seen a girl say you should use grapeseed oil. She was just talking about that last night. But then that's better for your heart. Olive oil, grapeseed oil, it's better for your heart.
I know Five Guy Chick-fil-A.
But now she would have said the fact that he had a heart attack and she had heart attack inducing food on the table. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? But see, you talking about, that's 1991. You know, people didn't have the knowledge of the stuff to cook with like we do now. Them old Southern people, they were going to get some old back fat. Fried in that. Hog back and lard and all this other junk. Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah, no doubt. I don't disagree with you at all, sir. I don't disagree with you at all. But you had to think, and I can see it, man. I understood it. Okay. They can hear us out. It's all good. We won't be here next week. So, yeah. But it's like I say though, you have to look at those factors. And that's just physical stuff. But for me, like I understood where he was coming from. Depending what type of physical ailments you got, that necessarily may not be a deal breaker for me. I'm more looking at your brain. Because if you stupid, if you got mental ailments,
Your brother's son.
like shoot, truth be told, it depends on how bad your emotional ailments are. If I'm willing to take that on. You know what I'm saying? Because some people damaged and broken. It depends how damaged and broken you are. Because some stuff you can't deal with. Like, hey, I appreciate you, you know. I can't deal with that. That person's not wrong because they choose not to intertwine themselves with that. You know what I'm saying? See, people feel like this is why I mentioned that last night. A woman will say, it ain't my job to raise no man and build up no man. But a woman would want a man to do the same thing if the situation was reversed and feel like that he should do it. And if he don't do it, then he ain't no man, because a real man would do this and a real man would do that. No, a real man wouldn't. A real man will pass. It's not my job to be with you and help you grow and heal and turn you into no woman. If you're going to say in your breath that it ain't your job to help me heal and turn me into no man. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But at the same token, though, that's the decision that the person has to make. If you say I'm willing to deal with that and walk with you through that, ain't nobody going to knock you for it. But nobody should be knocked for it if they choose not to do it. The same token, some people knock people because they don't want to be with somebody who has children. You know what I'm saying? If that woman say, I don't want to be with a man who got 4 kids from 4 different women, she ain't wrong for that. She ain't wrong for it if she don't want to be a man with a man who got 4 kids from one woman. But guess what though? But a lot of women feel like, oh, you ain't no real man if you won't take on. See, it's always different when it's on them. You already the problem. Nevertheless. You know what I mean? Just let it check. That's because you sit behind the door. They want to know what's going on. That don't matter though. She's security. She got to check firehouse. You might get but you say that, but you'll be surprised though. Boy, get the right douchebag, they'll come through here and be like, everybody gotta go. Like right now, I think we over the occupancy number, and they could technically say, you niggas gotta go. On the door. I said, I think. But you know, that's the city, man. City of Jacksonville, what you expect? I seen old buddy who walked up us on Myrtle got crashed in his election. The little black dude that walked up on us when we was on Myrtle. He got a little bit of votes. Definitely didn't get enough to win. But yeah. It'll just be the same token on if somebody got spiritual ailments and you spiritually strong. That's not your duty to marry them or be with them. That's not your job. You know what I'm saying? See, the thing is that we get it in our mind that somebody is wrong if they choose. See, you can choose to carry somebody's burdens, but you don't have to be with them. You know what I'm saying? But you can't ridicule me because I don't want to carry your burdens and be with you. That's what people like to do. You know what I'm saying? And from my experience, it's more women who do that to men than men do that to women. Though some men do it and say it. You know what I'm saying? But that's not that woman's job to carry you, bro. Your job is to carry her. Her back ain't wide enough or strong enough to carry no man. That's why y'all made her the way that she made her. That's why he made you with broad shoulders and a wide back. So she could get on your back and you carry her. You know what I'm saying? But dudes be wanting to make, the woman, his old lady, to carry. She ain't put 122 pounds and you 200 pounds talking about carrying me, baby. How that make sense? The woman shouldn't have to carry. She's supposed to be carried. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like what dude was talking about in that video I showed you. You know what I'm saying? He didn't express it in the most way like a woman want to be dominated. With being saying being led. She wants a man. No man wants a masculine woman. No man wants a woman he has to argue with. Truth be told, you ain't supposed to be arguing with your husband. No way. You ain't supposed to be checking your husband. If your husband out of pocket, then you supposed to go to the elders or the men of the congregation and let them check him. You know what I'm saying? You ain't supposed to be checking him. Because now you out of pocket. You playing a role you ain't supposed to be playing. You supposed to go right to the men in the congregation and say, my husband been acting a plumb dumb fool. And the men supposed to be men enough to be like, oh, nah, not playing that role to be like, oh, the women be tripping. If that nigga wrong, you need to tell that nigga he wrong. And you need to stop giving niggas passes. Because sometimes it ain't that woman. Sometimes that nigga wrong. And that's why niggas continue in behavior because other men will not hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? And if the woman tripping, it's the man's job to hold his wife accountable. But if she won't listen, then you're supposed to take her to the congregation and let them men hold her accountable. That's how it works. That's how our laws say to do it. Y'all do know that, right? Y'all know that, right? You know that's what our laws say to do. You know that, right? About bringing people in front of the congregation to hold them accountable. Only difference was they got stoned. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't talking about stoning nobody. It's the purpose of if somebody's out of pocket, they supposed to be shamed, and everybody else is supposed to fear Yahuwah that they won't do it, so they won't be the next person up there shamed. Because if you got caught sinning, they were supposed to bring you in front of everybody and stone you. You know what I'm saying? And everybody around would sit back and look like this here. Oh my God. So they would fear Yahuwah, so they wouldn't get stoned. But see, people don't want to do that now. You want to keep it in private. You want to tell this person. No, bring that nigga out in front of everybody and let him be held accountable.
If you was bringing them out in front of everybody and getting stoned, you still have to have two witnesses. This time they still stoned.
No, they would be witnesses before they got stoned. But you have certain situations, well, like it was two parents with a child who was stubborn and rebellious. But if you making an accusation, you have to bring them in front, and then those who are wise enough would judge it. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll have situations in the law where it talk about just two people and they having a conflict, and you had to bring it to the judges, and the judge would judge it. You know what I'm saying? It's the same token that what Paul wrote in Corinthians, that the least of the congregation should be able to judge matters if somebody has a controversy amongst themselves. But matters are supposed to, we ain't never supposed to bring no issues we got to no sinners. If you can't bring it to the body, that's a problem. Because all you're going to do is have them sinners talk about your God, because you ain't supposed to be bringing no issues or going at law in front of no sinners. That's never supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be able to, if you don't even feel comfortable enough to bring that to the people in the congregation, you need to look at yourself or why you're dealing with them. If there's an issue according to our law, and it's that serious to where the controversy can't be resolved amongst the parties, you're supposed to bring that in front of the body. That's how our law is set up, and that's how it works. You have some congregations that do it. This is the same token that we talked about. If somebody offended you, what does the book tell you to do? Go to them one-on-one. If they don't want to hear them, get 2-3 witnesses. If they don't want to hear them, it said bring them in front of the body. This is how issues get resolved. See, that's the worldly stuff that tell you, oh, keep it in private or talk to this person. If we talking about stuff with our souls and we talking about we all in his body, because we all interconnected, because we've been immersed in his death, then why would there be an issue? What the issue is you don't want to be ashamed, or you don't want people to know that this is happening or that is happening. Who cares? Why would you allow that to cause you or them to go to hell? That don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's about accountability. And if that person, if you can't resolve it, then the body of Hamashiach should be able to hold this individual accountable. But as I've told y'all before, though, many people don't like accountability, so they shun it and run from it every chance they can get. But sometimes, hey man, niggas got to be held accountable. Women got to be held accountable. Children got to be held accountable. How else are you going to amend your behavior if there's no accountability? You know what I'm saying? And if you can't resolve it with that person, then everybody hold them accountable. And you can't, the thing is niggas have respect to persons. Because you want to look at it as, oh, that woman be tripping, or, oh, bro wouldn't do that. See, I don't judge in that fashion. I ain't got no respect to person. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care who you are. If the woman wrong, she wrong. If the man wrong, she wrong. He wrong. If both of them wrong, then they both wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? If you judge with respect to persons, now you done sinned. So having respect to persons is not worth going to hell for. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can. That's your choice. But if a nigga get wind of it, Meaning, if I get wind of it, and if it's my prerogative to say, stand in front of these people and confess your sins, I can do that. If you tell me, hey, boy, I'm out of pocket, I did that, and the third, and if I choose not to bring you in front of everybody and say it, that's my prerogative, because there's instances of both. You know what I'm saying? But if another person come up and say, I seen such and such doing this, he got to come take you and bring you in front of everybody because he just made an accusation. You know what I'm saying?
Can I go back to what you said? You said they'll choose if they should go up there?
Yeah, that's my prerogative.
Why would choose on them?
I mean, there's instances where people, like say with Nathan rebuked David in private. He didn't bring him in front of everybody and do it.
When he committed that sin with Bathsheba.
That was just Yah's prerogative in that situation. There's other situations like Buddy who got caught picking up the sticks on the Sabbath. They brought him in front of everybody. But he was doing that to use him to make him an example. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going to happen when you do this. But when you talk about judging a matter, that's different. That means the people who got the issue, they're right there. You know what I'm saying? Like judging a matter and holding someone accountable is two different things. Because let's say y'all had a deal and there was a discrepancy about the money paid. That means y'all got an issue at law. That means you got to come in front of everybody and we judge that to end that controversy. Now let's just say she got caught stealing out the store. You don't necessarily have to bring her in front of everybody because she was stealing out the store. Why didn't he bring David in front of everybody and condemn him for committing adultery? Because that was his prerogative. You know what I'm saying? But there were other people he put on blast in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10, if my memory served me correctly, it's because he was making them an example. He was making an example out of them. For everybody else to know to not do that. Matter of fact, I'll show you what I'm talking about. 1 Corinthians chapter 5. We finna get ready to slide on up out of here anyway. I bet the people, I'm glad them niggas gone. Don't never accept their request. Shoot, they canceled two of them back to back. So yeah, we were supposed to be here 3 weeks in a row. They definitely canceled. Say you niggas don't come back no more. I can tell you, my memory serving right. I think we're gonna be on 103rd next week. But y'all willing, don't quote me on that. But I think that's what it is. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10. He said, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters, for then you must needs go out of the world. But now I have written unto you not to keep company if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or a covetous, or idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such a one not to eat. So, and you know that our law teaches that anyway. Like, you ain't even supposed to be kicking it with people who say they in the word, who even conduct themselves in that fashion. Like, you ain't supposed to fool with them. See, a lot of people think, oh, that's harsh. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you do it? If you say you in the word, and I know you out here knocking holes down. I know you out here worshiping other gods. I know you out here lying. And I'm finna just sit here and kick it with you like you ain't doing nothing. Then you just as wicked as them, because you got knowledge of it, and by being with them, you approve of it. He say, for what have I to judge them also that are without? Do you not judge them that are within? So what does he tell you? You want to judge people who outside the body, but you don't want to judge nobody who in it. Now see, that's an example where he not talking about bringing them in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know what's going on. Oh, nigga, you wrong. But I don't fool with you like that, boy. You need to tighten up. And you slide on out the way. Niggas supposed to be ashamed because niggas not fooling. Because guess what y'all would do if you was doing all that? Separate himself from you. He not going to fool with you. He finna slide. He ain't going to be kicking away. Hey, boy, I heard you were fornicating last week. Boy, you're doing your thing there, huh? Now, y'all going to be like, nah, I don't fool with you, cuz. See, that sound harsh to people because they don't know Yah's ways and how he operates. He don't fool with that type of stuff. So you not going to fool with it. He say, but them that are without, Alahym judge. Therefore put away from among yourselves, that wicked person. You know what I'm saying? Now this is an individual who don't want to stop. And you know what that is? That's accountability, what he talking about. Same thing that the law tell you. The only difference with the law, you stoned them. And you put the evil from amongst you. You know what I'm saying? But that's accountability. You getting stoned was accountability. And that was to teach everybody else. There's accountability for your act. You know, a lot of people get in the word and they don't believe that there's consequences for their actions. And then when somebody wants to hold them accountable for their actions, they got a problem with them. Man, that nigga think he is, so man, bump all that. Or you trying to find what you think somebody else is doing so you can pass the buck. That's wicked and that's evil. Just take accountability for what you got going on. And then 1 Corinthians chapter 6, we're talking about what we were just discussing. Say, dare any of you having a matter against another go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do you not know the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Know you not that we shall judge angels? How much more the things that pertain to this life? If you then have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the synagogue. This how that's, you see how that's what you're supposed to do. But you know what? People don't want to do that because you quote unquote don't want nobody in your business. And then these issues are still festering and building and somebody gonna lose their soul. Better put your pride to the side and be focused on getting solutions and things corrected. That's what you need to learn to realize to start doing. Right or wrong. But let's end this thing with this particular matter of what we're dealing with in Revelation 22 so we can get out of here. Now remember, right, the people, now we already read, and you can read Isaiah 25 with it, right? That in the kingdom there'll be no death. And if there's no death, that means there's no what? There's no sin. We just read in Zephaniah that the people in the kingdom will not be committing any iniquity. So because of that, that's why the tree of knowledge of good and evil is not present. But because those are those who had faith and were born again and overcame, as Yahushua said, because who was he that overcome the world? But he that believed that Yahushua is the son of Alahym. This is the victory, even our faith. They have the right to the tree of life. And because they have the right to the tree of life, then they have the right to be in the garden or be in the New Jerusalem. And if they have a right to be in New Jerusalem, then they have a right to be with Yahuwah. Now, I didn't grab the word for mysteries, but I mentioned it to you, so we'll be starting on that next week, y'all willing, because I got a mystery for you. That ain't been mentioned. That's mentioned in the text, but verse 1 of Revelation 22. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of Alahym and of the Lamb. In the midst of the street and on the either side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of Alahym and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. And there shall be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun. For Yahuwah Alahym give them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. Now, I meant to read Daniel 12, and I ain't grabbed that. Let me grab that Daniel 12 for you real quick. So notice that tree of life is not mentioned till what? New Jerusalem come down from heaven. And Alahym is dwelling with men, and the tabernacle of Alahym is with men. That's when the tree of life is mentioned. No tree of knowledge of good and evil, because there's no evil there. There's no sin there. Daniel 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stand for the children of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, not since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. What gets your name written? What gets your name written in the book of life? Huh? Y'all know what gets your name? Huh? Faith gets your name written in the book of life. What gets your name out the book of life? So sin. So that's another reason why you don't see the tree of knowledge of good and evil in New Jerusalem, because that's the knowledge of sin, and anybody who has the knowledge of sin named, it blotted out the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. So, if they shining like the stars in the firmament, what does that take us back to in the law? Genesis 1. And the stars refer to what? Sons of Alahym. And if you were son of Alahym, what do you not do? Because he that is born of Alahym does not commit sin, because what? His seed remain in him, which is that word, which means he blessed is he that trusts in Yah, whose hope Yah is, because he'll be as a tree planted by the rivers, who never ceases from yielding fruit. Because you think Yahushua stopped from yielding fruit? He never. Why does Yahushua does not cease from yielding fruit? Huh? He's not dead. And on top of that, his womb is not closed. That hole in his side wasn't closed, was it? So he's continually producing fruit or producing children. He never stops. Because what does the law tell us? That he say, the children are the fruit of the womb. So guess what? Every person who's born of him is the fruit of his womb. Or the fruit of his wounds. Because by his stripes we are healed. And he was wounded for our transgressions and the things of this nature. And this is why the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is not in the kingdom, because there's no death, there's no sorrow, and there'll be no law, because there's no condemnation of those who walk in Yahushua HaMashiach, because the tree of the knowledge of good and evil lets you know what sin was. If there's no sin in the kingdom, why do we need to know what sin is? You do not. So, hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We start right there. I appreciate everybody on the stream this afternoon. Bless y'all out the house. Y'all name of Yahushua. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Stay strong in the faith and endure. We're going to keep on journeying down this thing to talk about the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, along with the mystery of iniquity and the mystery of Alahym. We set the stage. We're going to run it. We usually start dealing with stuff like this here when Passover comes. You know what I'm saying? Because Passover is coming. We'll be observing it April the 2nd at sundown. So, that being said, Yahuwah willing to the next time, and we'll make